Welcome to Emerging Civil War News. I'm Chris Mackowski, and joining me today from the Bristoe Station Historical Park is Kevin Pawlak, my ECW colleague and Battlefield site manager. How you doing, pal?
Good, Chris. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Now, I have to admit right up front, I always misname the name of your park. So I'll just give you the chance to set the record straight right here.
Sure, that's fine. It's only taken me 6.5 years to get it right, too. The full name is Bristoe Station Battlefield Heritage Park.
Heritage Park. See, I always say
Yes.
historical park. All right, very good. And we're getting together today to talk because the park is getting a little bit bigger.
Yes, it is growing by 22 acres. Actually, already has grown by 22 acres, which is some excellent news. And there's more on the way, which I'm sure we'll get into. But right now, the park itself, or previously, as of last week, it was just 140 acres. And now we're up to 162 acres and have expanded to both sides of what was historically the Orange and Alexandria Railroad. So very exciting news for us here.
So this helps you tell a fuller story of the battle that took place there in 1863 and 1862, because we've got two different actions that kind of take place in your terrain. Walk us through what now has been added to this battlefield park.
Sure. So just before we get into that, the three main stories that we talk about at the park are the Civil War encampments that were here. So there was a Confederate encampment following the Battle of First Manassas, which we have one of the cemetery sites preserved from those encampments. And then the two battles that you mentioned, the Battle of Kettle Run, which was fought on August 27th, 1862, as part of the Second Manassas campaign. And then the larger Battle of Bristoe Station that was fought on October 14th, 1863 as part of really the climax of the Bristoe Station campaign in the Forgotten Fall of 1863, unfortunately. So the tract of land that was previously purchased by the American Battlefield Trust and is now the property of Prince William County, featured prominently into both battles. So I'm going to share one map here first about the Battle of Kettle Run, and hopefully everybody is able to see this. But you can see where, with the modern road network around it, that our good friend and ECW colleague Ed Alexander prepared for the park here, you can see the park sort of outlined in that lime green color on the north and west side of the railroad. And then down where you see on the other side of the railroad tracks, the 60th Georgia and Dockwins, Louisiana battery, that is the 22 acres that has been added to the park itself. So again, Confederate positions, Confederate troops were posted there during the course of the fighting on the hot afternoon of August 27th. There was some very intense fighting. The Georgians originally were using the railroad embankment to fire down the length of the Federal line. Most notably, the Excelsior Brigade, Dan Sickles' Excelsior Brigade, even though Dan Sickles was not here in August of 1862. I always say if he had been, then Bristoe Station would be a national park. But nonetheless, some very intense fighting on the south side of the tracks there, too. You can see one federal regiment, the 5th New Jersey, advanced along the tracks and briefly engaged the 60th Georgia. There was actually some hand-to-hand fighting there on the south side of the tracks. The Georgians lost their flag for a brief time before wrestling it back. And ultimately, then the Confederates, under the command of Richard Ewell, pulled back from Bristoe Station back toward Manassas Junction. And of course, the next evening, the Battle of Second Manassas would begin at the Battle of Bronner Farm. So that's the 1862 piece of this. I'm going to bring up the 1863 map now. And you can see the orientation of the battle is a little bit different. Rather than fighting along the railroad, there would still be fighting along the railroad, but instead Confederates were coming in from the north, Federal troops coming in from the south, and the Federal line was posted along the railroad itself. So Federal troops were able to use the railroad embankment for cover, and from that cover, they were able to very bloodily repulse an attack of about 5,000 Confederates on the afternoon of October 14th. So again, if you're looking at the map, you can see that sort of odd yellow-shaped parcel that has the soldiers of Owen's Brigade, known as the Harper's Ferry Cowards. At least they were prior to Gettysburg, but they wiped that name away from their reputation during the Battle of Gettysburg itself. But the really important thing about this parcel that's been preserved is, in my opinion, this is the bloodiest section of the Bristoe Station battlefield for the Federal troops. Owen's men were not in position when the Confederate troops began their attack toward the Federal line at the railroad, and so they actually had to charge down and it's one of the few illustrations that comes to us from the 1863 battle. But Owen's men had to charge down the slope under fire to the railroad and lost over 80 men in just a matter of minutes in their charge down to the railroad. One of the New Yorkers wrote that Gettysburg wasn't a circumstance for bullets compared to what those men endured charging down to the railroad at Bristoe Station. So it's a very important piece of ground for both the 1862 and 1863 battles that we've told that story many times on tours here, but now we'll be able to get visitors out onto that ground to be able to walk the ground and read the accounts of the soldiers who fought there.
Yeah, I remember the last time you and I were out on the battlefield together for the American Battlefield Trust, and we stood on the north side of the railroad, and you were able to go like over there where we can't get, you know. So now we'll be able to get over there.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to say that a lot now. But yeah, so it's going to be very exciting that we'll be able to get over there and see things for at least the 1863 battle from the federal perspective as well.
Yeah. Now, looking at the map that you're showing us here, take the opportunity. Lots of development crowding around this battlefield. So that's, I think, something that illustrates why this preservation is particularly important because so much of the battlefield has been lost.
Yeah, that's correct. You can see on this map, and again with the modern, or you can see the modern road network on here that, yeah, a lot of the Bristoe Station battlefield is not preserved, unfortunately. There have been some other victories. Fortunately, you can see more land that's across the road and sort of catty corner across the tracks and across Bristoe Road from where the current park is, and that's more land that's been preserved by the trust. But yes, you know, even preserving the park itself or starting the park was a really a preservation compromise between developers and preservationists. So we're fortunate to have the land that we do have to be able to tell the story of Bristoe Station Battlefield.
So, Kevin, as we get ready to wrap up, any plans for what you're now going to do with this land now that the county's been able to purchase it?
Yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is actually do a tour on the property on the anniversary of the afternoon of August 27th. So it will be next Wednesday, or Wednesday, August 27th. We'll be doing a tour focusing on the fighting on the south side of the railroad during the Battle of Kettle Run. So that will be the first time. We've led a few tours over there before, but it'll be the first tour of the property while it is county property, which is exciting. And then we've already started working on some planning of developing an interpretive trail over there, parking spaces, and then really restoring the battlefield to what it would have looked like in 1862 and 1863. So it might be a couple of years until visitor access is permanent over there, but at least for now it is saved, it's preserved, and we're going to work quickly to make sure that it becomes and it gets incorporated into the park in terms of the interpretation and again visitor access that we're going to provide over there.
And I suppose we should take a moment to just kind of thank our friends and colleagues at the American Battlefield Trust who really played an instrumental role in making sure this land got saved.
Yes, absolutely. They've played a very large role in that. You can see, again, the other parcel where Ricketts Battery is positioned on the other side of the Bristow Road from the park. That's 152 acres. So once that becomes officially part of the park is going to more than double in size, which is something that we might have never imagined happening, which is really exciting. So there's lots of great opportunities, preservation opportunities, interpretive opportunities as well that are coming our way here at Bristoe Station.
So, well, Kevin, I wish you all the best of luck as you continue to manage the acquisitions and interpretations and visitor services at these places. It's just a wonderful little battlefield, and you've done a great job out there.
Well, thank you, and I hope everybody will take some time to come out and join us. We've got 3 miles of walking trails. We offer battlefield tours, guided tours, the second and fourth weekends of each month, May through October. So come out and join us if you have been to Bristoe Station Battlefield. We've got some new signage here, and if you haven't been, definitely come out and see us.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for being with us today, Kevin.
No problem. Thank you, Chris.
I'm Chris Mackowski for the Emerging Civil War podcast and Emerging Civil War News. We'll see you online and on the battlefield.